Hey, what's going on everyone? MONADO Max here, and today we're going to be doing a video of talking about 10 Nintendo Switch games that is either already somewhat expensive or getting expensive, and games that I think that are going to be very expensive for the Nintendo Switch or just very rare for the Switch. Every year I do a Nintendo Switch game collection video, and I always talk about games that I think that are going to end up being rare, and a lot of you guys in the comments of that video always seem to be interested in me talking about that. So we have some games that I want to talk about here, and this could potentially be a video series if you guys want to continue seeing this. Because I feel like I'm very well knowledge with the Nintendo Switch, considering I have over 400 Nintendo Switch games. I think I'm kind of the perfect person to talk about. Maybe perfect's not the right word to use because no one's perfect, but I think I'm a knowledgeable person to talk about what I think is going to be expensive Nintendo Switch games. The Nintendo Switch is such an interesting console to collect for, just due to the fact that it uses cartridges. And another reason why the Switch is very interesting to collect for is a lot of the times when games are put onto the Switch, it is a one print only, meaning they don't print anymore after the game is sold out. So there's going to be a lot of Switch games that are going to be very expensive once we get later and later down the Switch road. So games that are actually already pretty expensive because they're out of print. Because with how it is to print cartridges on the Switch, it's more expensive than an actual disc version of the game. So that means the collecting side of the Switch makes this all very interesting. Let's go ahead and get into this list of games. I have no particular order, I'm just bringing 10 games onto here to talk about that I think will end up being expensive for the Switch down the road. Alright, I want to start off with the Batman Telltale series. This is one that I'm always telling people to definitely be on the lookout for, especially considering Minecraft Story Mode. That is one that I've actually been telling people to look out for even before it went up like crazy, mainly due to the reason that with this game and the Minecraft game, the first season, you can actually play this whole game on the cartridge. This is the only way to get the game fully on cartridge without download. Because even the discs only have the first episode. You have to download the rest. And at one point, they lost the rights to this because Telltale Games went out of business. And who knows, Telltale might go out of business again. I hope not, but we really don't know. This is somewhat of a cheap game to be found right now on the Nintendo Switch physical side. I think it had an extremely low print run though, because you can't buy it new anymore. It's definitely out of print. You can only buy it pre-owned, and it goes for about $30 to $40. I think this is one that towards the end of the Switch cycle, this will be one that people are going to be looking out for, especially those that actually want to play this game, because I think they just now started having this on the other consoles, re-adding it to the PlayStation Store and Xbox Store. And I think the Switch version, with it coming out so late into Telltale Games cycle, this was just kind of a weird release. I think there's possibility that this could be an expensive Switch game down the road. So this is one that I think you guys should be on the lookout for. Okay, coming in, we got Life is Strange Collection. This is a really weird release, only due to the fact that, so the Switch version came out way later than the PS5 and Xbox Series X versions of the Life is Strange collection. This is the remastered collection. Those did not get physical copies. The Switch is the only version that got a physical release. And it kind of got shadow dropped, kind of. I'm saying kind of. It got announced like 3 weeks before that it was coming out physically on the Switch and digitally onto the Switch. This is one that you can still find right now because it is a newer release. But I think just due to the fact that this is the only physical copy of Life is Strange Remastered Collection, I think down the road this is going to be one that people are really going to want, since you can't get a physical copy of it on PlayStation and Xbox. You can obviously get the re-released old, like the original versions of Life is Strange, but the only way to get a remastered version of it is on the Switch. And it has the whole Life is Strange 1 game on cartridge, which is pretty cool. The Beyond the Storm, or whatever that one's called, is download only, but you got the first game on cartridge, and I think that's something people are going to want down the road. I think you can find this game for about $30 right now. I think this is one that's going to go up in value down the road, because it's not out of print yet. It's going to be out of print though, I'm telling you. Especially since it's Square Enix. A lot of the Switch Square Enix games have actually been out of print already. this is one to be looking out for. Okay, this is the one that I think has the weirdest story behind it, especially the American version of this game. We're going to be talking about Unravel 2. Now, this game came out on the Switch very early in the Switch lifecycle. I think it was like 2018 is when this game came out. Didn't get a physical copy. It got a physical copy in the UK, but it never got a physical copy in America. For whatever reason, this is the weirdest thing to me. Last year, a random shadow drop happened of Unravel 2 coming to the Switch physically. This had already been out on the Switch for years. No one was talking about it. No one was really asking for a physical copy in America. This came out of nowhere. No announcement from EA, no nothing. It just showed up in stores out of nowhere. That type of storyline tells me that eventually at some point, it's a $20 game right now. It's a $20 game, but I'm telling you, this probably didn't get many copies printed. And even if it did, the story is too weird to me. I'm telling you, this is going to be an expensive Switch game down the road. Get this while you can, while it is still $20. It's not out of print yet, because like I said, it had just came out not even a year ago. The story behind Unravel 2 getting a physical copy in America is the strangest thing to me. If you guys know anything about that, please let me know in the comments down below. Next up, we got Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition. Now, this is one that's also an interesting story. This is the only way to have the 3DS, Wii U, DLC, all of that. The Switch version is the only one that has all that in HD. Which is very interesting. It's all on one cartridge. It's got everything from the Wii U, 3DS, all into one version, the Switch version here. This game is actually already out of print. It's already still a $60 game if you can find it in stores. It has never dropped down because it went out of print. It is $60 pre-owned at GameStop. That tells you something. That it's not $55 pre-owned. It's the $60 pre-owned price tag. So if you can find this out and about, this is one to definitely pick up because it's a first-party Nintendo game, it's a Zelda game. Once we get to the next Nintendo console, people are going to be going crazy over the first-party Switch games. They're going to start collecting for that. Hyrule Warriors is one of those. And this actually already went out of print before Age of Calamity was even announced and dropped onto the Switch. So I think this is one that is actually going to be harder to get. Maybe not necessarily super expensive. It's just going to be harder to find, I think. Because I don't even think many copies of this was produced because, from my understanding, the Switch port did not sell well. Because one, it came out of nowhere. It was in the middle of a lot of games coming out for the Switch with no promotion. It was a weird release that should have had a better promotion because this is something that, this is good value right here. Getting as much as content that you get into this game, it's incredible. So definitely be looking out for this one if you can find it for cheap. This one, I'm kind of going out on a wild card. Just hear me out before you judge. We got the GTA Trilogy collection right now for the Nintendo Switch. This also got a weird release because one, the Switch version came out months after the PlayStation and Xbox versions came out. I don't even think digitally it came, actually, I think digitally it released, but the physical copy got like a 4-month delay. This is what was told to me by a source that I can no longer find anymore. The dude has been wiped out of the existence. I don't know if the Nintendo ninjas found him or something, but I had a source at one point that told me some Nintendo stuff that 95% of the time ended up being correct. What he told me is that Rockstar Games wanted to put more games onto the Switch, but the whole cartridge thing is what stopped them. They lost so much money on the LA Noire Switch port because it was a cartridge-based system that the physical release did not make them much money. That's why they did not release many Switch games. They apparently had GTA 5 ready for Switch, but they scrapped it because of LA Noire not selling well, and on top of that, being a cartridge-based system, they just scrapped it completely. I'm kind of believing that just due to the fact that we have seen no Rockstar games since LA Noire, and the fact that they took forever to get GTA Collection out on the Switch physically on the smallest cartridge size possible, because they did terrible with the physical release, just gonna be honest here. I think that, I believe that rumor, and I think this probably didn't get many copies produced because, you know, the collection came out on PS4, Switch, digitally, all that. The reviews were terrible. This came out actually, it's been a year since this has dropped onto the Nintendo Switch, and it still remains $60. You could sometimes find it for $40. I think this is going to be one that it's not going to be expensive to get for the Switch yet, but I think down the road this could be a $80 to $90 game. It's got such a weird story, and with that potential thing of Rockstar Games not liking the Switch due to the cartridge stuff, I think LA Noire could potentially be a rare Switch game due to all of that. If my source was correct, which again, I'm believing it just due to everything we've seen so far, because I was told that before GTA Trilogy was announced for the Switch. I think the fact that the Switch version got delayed, and then the fact that the cartridge does not have much, it's like the smallest cartridge ever in terms of data storage, I believe it. I believe it. And especially since the physical release took forever, it just adds up. I think down the road, I don't think this is going to be an immediate thing. This is one to look out for, possible. If you can get it for cheap, I think it's worth it in your collection. All right, next up, I have Doom 2016 for the Nintendo Switch. Now, this version that I'm holding is actually already out of print. I am seeing this particular version when I'm at conventions and stuff. I'm seeing this version for $50 to $60. You can get Doom 2016 physically on the Switch still, but it's in a new type of print version of the game. Coleman might show pictures. It's like the Doom Slayers collection for Nintendo Switch. It comes with all the old Doom games, I believe digitally, and it comes with like a new cartridge of Doom, I think. I don't know exactly. I know it's not this right here, Doom 2016. It's on a new cartridge, the one that the Doom Slayers collection. So the original release of this game is going to be up there in value. It's still a $60 release if you can find this original copy of the game. I think, again, once we get towards the next Nintendo console, this is going to be one that people are looking out for. I think, especially as people are starting to get into Switch collecting, we're starting to see that Switch people starting to grow and grow when it comes to Switch collecting. This is one people are going to be looking out for due to the fact that it has a second release, and this first print release is done. It's a unique release. So if you can find this for cheap, like my local GameStop got this traded in. They're selling it for 15 bucks. I'm like, wow, that is a steal right now. So if you can find this for cheap, look out for it, because some stores don't know what they're selling when it comes to the Switch. And this is going to be one that retail stores are not going to really know what they're selling, just due to the fact that Doom Slayers collection exists, and it's a weird Switch physical copy. Next up, we have an extremely weird one that I don't even know much about. Go Vacation. I know this is a Wii game that for some reason Nintendo decided to fund the physical copy. I don't even know if this is a Nintendo IP or not, but Nintendo brought this to the Switch. They even published it for some reason, and I know a lot of people are talking about this game. They don't even know what it is, and I think this is one that is going to go up in value. I paid $30 for it. I think I'm seeing it go for like $50 to $60 now. And especially as Switch collecting grows, this is going to be one that, like, when people collect first-party Nintendo games, because that's going to be the main thing people are collecting for once people get into the Switch collection whole thing once the next Nintendo console comes out. Because I think that's when the Switch collections are going to grow. That's when Switch collecting is going to be very, very, very popular. It's when the next Nintendo game console comes out. And this is going to be one that people are going to go for because Nintendo themselves published it. There's many other games out there that Nintendo published that if we do another video like this, we'll talk about. But this is one that I think you guys should really look for because it's not that expensive yet. Alright, this next one, it just got announced that this just got out of print. So this is a new one that you can still get for relatively cheap. And it's a game that has not even been out for a year yet. That is Danganronpa. Obviously, it's an anime game, so all that anime stuff is going to be extremely popular for the Switch, especially physical copies. If you look at other consoles out there, all the anime stuff is always what goes crazy for game collecting. So this one, you can actually, it's still about a $40 to $50 game. I'm telling you, this is one that's going to be over $100. So while you can still get it, buy it because it's still relatively very cheap. And this is one that I feel very confident in saying this is going to be a very expensive game. People are starting to want this. You can't find it in game stores very often right now. It is an extremely hard game to find, but you can find it online. Buy it while you can. I'm telling you, this is one to look out for. Get it while you can still get it at retail price. Can't even get new copies of this yet. Like, you can buy sealed copies from like a reseller, but in terms of game stores, they don't have new versions of this anymore. Okay, so this one might be a little bit cheating in the competition that we're doing here of this video series, because it is already an extremely expensive game, but I think this has the potential to be the most expensive Switch game due to the story that I'm about to tell you guys, which some of you might already know the story, but we'll talk about it momentarily. We're going to be talking about Skylanders Imaginators. Now, Coleman's probably going to show some sold listings of Skylanders Imaginators. It's already over $100. I know at one point this game was over $200. Now, you might be asking me, Max, why are you showing me this game if the game is already expensive? I thought this was supposed to be a video showing Switch games to buy before they get expensive. Yes and yes. I think Skylanders Imaginators is going to be the most expensive Switch game just due to the fact that, one, this came out on the Nintendo Switch day one when Skylanders was dead, like extremely dead, and the release, no one knew that Skylanders was on the Switch, which is crazy. Not to mention, it came at a time when Activision canceled every Skylanders games projects they had in development. You can look at the history. Back in 2016, it got leaked that Activision was canceling Skylander games because Skylanders Imaginators did not sell well at all on PlayStation or Xbox. So the fact that they brought this on Switch was extremely weird, especially considering putting games on Switch is very expensive, at least from a physical standpoint, due to the fact that the Switch uses cartridges. So this already has a very interesting run or a print run, and it's interesting that this is already for $100, especially if you can find this complete. This game is probably worth an unholy amount of money. Let's just leave it at that. I really think that this game is going to start going up and up, and I think right now it's gone down just a tiny bit. That if you have the money and actually really care about collecting for the Switch, this is one that you want to try to get right now, because I'm telling you, this is going to be the most expensive Nintendo Switch title. The fact that it came out day one on the Switch too, I think most of that stuff's going to be expensive. It's got a unique storyline to it. This next one is also one that you can get very cheap, that I think that, again, it's going to stay this way until the next Nintendo console, when people start wanting to collect the first party Nintendo games, because this is what we saw with the Wii U. The Wii U had all its first party games for cheap. People started collecting for the Wii U, so those games started going up like crazy. And like Game & Wario, over $100. Devil's Third, over $100. Ridiculous prices. I think this one is going to be pretty expensive because a lot of people don't even realize it has a physical release. That is Snipper Clippers Plus. This came out day one on the Nintendo Switch. It is a Nintendo IP that they dropped with the Nintendo Switch, along with 1-2 Switch and Zelda Breath of the Wild. You can find that for $20 right now. At least that's how much I paid. Actually, I think it was more like $10. I'm telling you, I feel like that's gonna be like a $50 to $60 game. I don't think it's gonna be too expensive, but it's going to be worth more than the retail price of the game. And that is one that you guys should be looking out for, just due to the history of it being, one, released on the Switch day one. Two, many people don't realize it got a physical release. 3, it is a Nintendo IP with a Nintendo physical release that not many people realize. There's just so much that goes on with this game that you can add to the fact that it is going to be at least a rare Switch release. Alright guys, I want to know what you guys are thinking. This was pure speculation, so I don't want any type of comments of everyone saying, Max, you were wrong, because this was speculation. And I think I'm going to be correct just due to a lot of the stuff that's already expensive for the Switch right now. I called and I told people. And yeah, if this is something you guys want to see again down the road, please let me know, because I have many more games that I wanted to talk about. Games that I actually had to cut out of this video because I already had 10. So let me know if you guys want to see this again in a few months. Let me know what you guys also think is going to be an expensive Switch game, or rare, whatever you want to call it, in the comments down below that I didn't talk about in this video. I have been talking for way too much. Make sure to backslash that subscribe button, like the video, check out the Twitch, check out the Twitter, check out the Discord server, check out everything that is in the description below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Have yourselves an amazing, wonderful day or night, evening, whatever time it is over there. We will see you guys in the next video. Peace.